Hello friends, in this video we will discuss about pumps. These pumps are very useful on ship because they are used to handle water, lubricating oil, fuel oil, diesel oil and many other liquids. So we will briefly discuss about pumps and we will concentrate only on the relevant part of it as our intention is to clear GME interview exam. One type of classification of pumps is dynamic type and another one is positive displacement type pumps. In dynamic pumps, it comes centrifugal pump, whereas in positive displacement pumps, there is piston pump, gear pump and screw pump. Before we jump to pumps, I would like to discuss three very important terms. Number one is priming of pump, number two is cavitation and number three is NPSH, that is net positive suction head. Starting with priming of the pump, the easiest way to define the priming of the pump is to bring the liquid from the suction side of the pump to its casing. That is, if on the suction side liquid is away from the pump, so then to bring this liquid to the pump's casing is called priming of the pump. If a pump can bring this liquid to its casing on its own, then it will be called a self-priming pump. And if a pump cannot bring this liquid to its casing on its own, it requires some external assistance, then it will be called a non-self-priming type of pump. In other words, if a pump from its suction side, if it can suck the air, remove it and then bring the liquid to its casing, then it will be called a self-priming pump. It means self-priming pump can handle the air, but a non-self-priming pump cannot handle the air. Next term is cavitation. So guys, you know that pump in its suction side creates a negative pressure, that is below the atmospheric pressure. Because of this negative pressure only, it can suck a liquid. But if this negative pressure will go below the vapor pressure of the liquid, then there will be a bubble formation in the liquid because liquid will start vaporizing. So these bubbles, they will go to the pump casing. But on the discharge side, there is a positive pressure. There is no negative pressure. So when these bubbles will move towards the discharge side, the pressure will increase and then these bubbles will start bursting. So when they will burst, they will impinge on the components of the pump, like they will impinge on the casing, they will impinge on the impeller and they will impinge on the mouth ring. Because of this impingement of bubbles, there will be pitting on the metal surface. This is called cavitation. So in simple words, deterioration of the metal due to bubble formation in the liquid is called cavitation. Now coming to NPSH, net positive suction head. Suppose the pump is at the top and it wants to lift the liquid which is below it. So we need to create a negative pressure at the suction side to lift this liquid. If the liquid is only little bit below the pump, then we need very little negative pressure. But if the liquid is far away, then we need more negative pressure to lift this liquid. But we cannot afford to lower the negative pressure, to lower the suction pressure below the vapor pressure of the liquid because it will cause cavitation. So the safest depth from where we can lift the liquid without causing cavitation or without lowering the suction pressure below its vapor pressure is called net positive suction head. Now let's move to pumps. First we will discuss positive displacement pumps. On ship, three types of positive displacement pumps are used. Number one is reciprocating pump, number two is gear pump and number three is screw pump. All these pumps are self-priming type. This is their biggest advantage. Another important property of positive displacement pump is that if the pump will suck the liquid from suction side, it will positively discharge it to the discharge side. It means if you shut the discharge valve, then pump will keep on pumping and the pressure on the discharge side will keep on rising till the time either pump gets damaged or the pipeline gets damaged. So to remove this risk of pump or pipeline getting damaged, we must install a relief valve in the discharge side. In case of any obstruction in the discharge side, if pressure keeps on increasing, this relief valve will lift and release the pressure, which will keep pump and pipeline both safe. So now you know the biggest advantage of positive displacement pumps is that they are self-priming type. Now let us discuss some disadvantages of these pumps. So first take the reciprocating pump. The biggest disadvantage of reciprocating pump is that they are very big in size. So even to handle a small quantity of liquid, you need a big pump which we cannot afford on ship. Another disadvantage is that their discharge is not continuous. In their suction stroke, they don't discharge anything. Only in their discharge stroke, they discharge the liquid. So your discharge is not continuous, but it is jerky. So because of these two disadvantages, piston pump or this reciprocating pump is rarely used on ship. Other two pumps are gear pump and screw pump. As you know that when these pumps rotate, their metal parts keep engaging with each other. So you require a lubrication to lubricate these metal parts. Without lubrication, their gears or screws, they will get damaged. So in these kind of pumps, they are suitable only to handle oil because oil provides them lubrication, but they cannot handle water because water will not be able to provide them lubrication, and their gear and or screws whatever are there, they will get damaged. So on ships, gear pumps and screw pumps are used to handle lubricating oil, diesel oil and fuel oil. Another disadvantage of gear pump and screw pump is that they are suitable only for a small quantity of liquid. If you want to handle the liquid in very large quantity, then they are not suitable. Now coming to centrifugal pumps. Guys, in most of the interviews, they ask you to draw a simple diagram of centrifugal pump and mark its components. So you definitely without fail learn how to draw a simple sketch of centrifugal pump and its parts. Centrifugal pump has many advantages, but the biggest disadvantage is that these pumps are not self-priming type. This is the biggest disadvantage of centrifugal pump. Otherwise they have all kind of advantages. They can handle all type of liquid, they take very small space, they can handle huge amount of liquid in the very small space only. So these pumps are very useful and widely used on ship. Their priming problem can be handled by installing an external device which provides them priming, and once it starts taking suction, it keeps on pumping. Now let us see what are the important parts of centrifugal pump. The first thing is casing. This casing is a volute casing and its shape is very important. Because of its shape, pump is able to develop extra pressure. Another part is impeller. Impeller is mounted on the shaft and it rotates with the shaft. So the liquid is supplied to the impeller through the suction pipe in the center part of it. This center part is called eye of the impeller. From this center part, from this eye, liquid moves through its veins, and when it moves through the veins, these veins, because they are rotating, they impart kinetic energy to this liquid. This impeller, while rotating, does not touch the casing. Between impeller and the casing, there is one ring that is called casing wear ring or the mouth ring. Casing ring is a stationary part, whereas impeller is rotating. So there is clearance between the mouth ring and the impeller. But this clearance has to be very minimum, because if the clearance will increase, the pressure of the pump will also decrease. So over a period of time, if you notice that the pressure of the pump has gone down, then the main reason is that the clearance between the impeller and the mouth ring has increased or the mouth ring has got damaged. So you need to overhaul the pump, and while overhauling you should replace the old mouth ring with the new mouth ring. The shaft on which impeller is mounted is attached to a motor. So this shaft, when it goes out from the casing, there is a stuffing box, because the liquid which is flowing inside the casing can escape from there. So there we need to seal it, and we seal it with the gland packing. These gland packings are installed inside a box that is called stuffing box. In new type of pumps, this gland packing has been replaced by the mechanical seal rings. To summarize, this is centrifugal pump and it is the impeller which is inside the casing. The liquid enters the impeller from its eye, which is at the center of the impeller, and then water, after passing through the veins, goes out to the discharge side. This is how the pump works. This is what I told you, the net positive suction head. This is how it is calculated. This is your stuffing box, gland packing, and the gland, and then this is the cover.